Okay, and so as I just said, we will record it so everyone has access. I think I'll wait just one more minute for a few people to filter in, and then we'll get started. If everyone can just confirm one more time that you're seeing full screen the PowerPoint with the live information session banner, if you can just type yes into the chat just to let me know. Yes, okay, that'd be great. I just want to make sure you can all see what I'm seeing and that you get the full information the whole time. Okay, let's go ahead and get started just so we don't take up too much time. So thanks everyone for joining. My name is Amy and I'm an international consultant on women's economic empowerment with UN Women, and I lead the WEPs Awards at the regional level. So welcome to our information session today. What we're basically going to do is give an overview of the WEPs Awards, walk you through the application process, the eligibility, all the different categories, and answer any questions that you might have about how it works. And then just to say again, for any new participants that have joined us, you can type in the chat if you wish, or you can type into the Q&A function as well to ask any questions. I'll make sure that I monitor it throughout. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. So first, I'll just give you a little bit of background about how the WEPs Awards started and what brought us here today. So as I said, I'm a consultant with a UN Women program called We Empower Asia. So we're a program funded by and in partnership with the European Union that works to increase the number of women who lead and participate in business in the Asia-Pacific. And we implement specifically in 7 different countries, and this will come up again in the session. So China, India, Indonesia, Malaysia, the Philippines, Thailand, and Vietnam. We do a lot of work throughout the region, but these are 7 countries where we implement specifically. Okay, someone said my voice is breaking. How is it now? Is my voice coming through clearly now? Sorry, I'm at the office today. I'm normally at home when I do the info sessions. Okay, clear for me from the start. Okay, perhaps it's your internet. I hope not, but let me know if it does break at any time. Okay. So yes, these are the main 7 countries that we do implement in. And so one of the key ways that our program functions, and we work a lot with the private sector. So women in business, this can be women entrepreneurs and SMEs. This can also be large and multinational corporates. And one of the ways that we implement and work with corporates to integrate gender equality into their organizations is through the WEPs, or the Women's Empowerment Principles. And you'll get very familiar with the WEPs throughout today. So the WEPs are 7 different principles that were launched in 2010 by UN Women and UN Global Compact, really as the first holistic framework that would walk organizations through becoming more gender inclusive across the whole value chain. So not just in the boardroom or the C-suite or the workplace, but also into the marketplace and deeper into the community, and then also with measurement and reporting. So it's a full-on kind of value chain, as we look at it, approach to integrating gender equality, and comes with specific guidance on how to implement and action each principle. And so any private sector entity can become a WEP signatory. It's a non-financial, currently non-obligation of reporting commitment that any private sector entity can make, whether you're an individual entrepreneur or a country office of a large corporate. WEPs.org, that you'll see the link in here, is how you join. So you visit the website, you upload a CEO statement of support that's signed by the CEO or the person with the highest authority in that office. Fill in a quick application and then join the community. And currently we're getting closer to 7,000 global signatories, and actually in the Asia-Pacific region, we've really seen momentum picking up. We have almost 2,000 now in Asia-Pacific alone, and we've seen more than 1,000 companies join just in the last 3 years. So we've really seen some really great momentum. So this is what has inspired, of course, the WEPs Awards. So in 2020, UN Women launched these awards for the region, and we knew that there were so many companies in our region doing really great work, and we really wanted to showcase these practices to inspire others to take action, and also just to share what some of the best companies were doing. So we launched the Asia-Pacific Regional Awards. So they're the only regional initiative that's recognizing private sector champions for gender equality aligned to the WEPs. So one note about how the awards work, and I'll go back into more detail about this later, they're for any private sector entity in the Asia Pacific. And so everyone who applies is eligible to be awarded at the regional ceremony, which takes place in November, later this year. And for those who apply in our specific program implementation countries, they also have special national processes for the awards. So it's open to every single country in the Asia Pacific, right? Bangladesh, Papua New Guinea, Australia, Korea, Japan. But for our 7 implementation countries, there's a national process first before the regional ceremony. So applications are open now, and I'm going to tell you a lot more about it until June 30th. So there's just a few more weeks. We can work with you if you want to email us individually and need more time, but I'll tell you a bit more about the application. And also tell you a little bit more about the WEPs, but maybe I'll just answer one question that I do already see in the chat because it does come up quite often. Are there any actions that are associated with the sign up, either in terms of financial or other actions when you become a WEP signatory? So there's no financial commitment required at all. There is a function where you can contribute financially to the Secretariat of the WEPs, but it's no financial commitment is required in the slightest. And currently, we encourage all companies to report on their actions and their gender policies and practices, but it's not obligatory, and there's no current reporting system required in place. So it is kind of a strong commitment right now rather than anything else. Okay, so a quick note on the key dates. Applications open through June 30th with some individual flexibility if you get in touch with us. UN Women goes through a shortlisting process. I'll explain more about that, and we'll get back in touch in mid-August. And then in October, we have the national award ceremony in these 7 countries. Unfortunately, right now, we don't have the country-specific process in any other countries. So if you apply from Australia, Papua New Guinea, Korea, Cambodia, Laos, you go straight into the regional pool and are eligible for awarding at the regional ceremony, which will take place on November 17th. That's the current date we have in mind. Okay, so let me go through the categories that we have. We have 6 different categories that you can probably see are aligned to the different WEP principles and kind of follow this value chain approach. And one note before I describe the categories to let you know about is that for each of the 6 categories, there's a winner, a first runner-up, and a second runner-up. So across the 6 categories, that's 18. And then we also have a special SME Champion Award. So it's not a separate category, but it is a special award. So SMEs are eligible to apply in any of these categories, or individual entrepreneurs for leadership categories or any other category. But what we do every year in these main categories is we look at kind of the level that organizations are at and how advanced they are with their different policies and practices. And for SMEs that we see are really doing great work, but then they're not quite internally yet as advanced as some of the larger corporates, we put them in a special pool of SME champions so that they're judged against each other, so that there's not a huge unfair advantage with some of the larger corporations. And we started this first last year just to make sure it was a lot more inclusive for SMEs, and we saw really, really good uptake. So SMEs could be a winner in any of these categories, but we do have that special pool for SMEs just to ensure that they're still included and highlighted for the important role they play in the region. And I can tell you a little bit more about that as well, but let me go briefly through the different categories and the criteria. And then the slides will be shared after as well, just in case you're wondering. So leadership commitment is the first category. This is for leaders that are 35 or older at the time of application. So this is leaders within organizations that are really taking strong steps, advocating publicly or internally, or the ones that are really setting their gender equality commitments or leading the agenda for gender equality within their organizations. Taking that strong leadership role. And so this goes to an individual, and typically this is CEOs or other kind of vice presidents or other managing directors for this specific award. And it can go to a man or a woman or a person of any gender. The spirit behind this is really anyone that's really showing strong leadership skills to take the drive for gender equality. So it's not about being an award only for men or women. Youth leadership, on the other hand, is for young leaders 35 or under under the age of 35, sorry, at the time of application. This also goes to an individual. And so the spirit of this award is kind of aligned to UN Women's Generation Equality campaign, which had a very strong youth leadership component. And this is quite similar to the leadership award. Anyone who's really demonstrating strong commitment and taking action either within their organization or through their organization for gender equality. And one of the really unique things I think about this award that's a bit different than the leadership is this really doesn't have to be a formally named leader. This could be anyone within the organization. So it could be a CEO or founder of a startup, but it could also just be a young person within a larger organization that started a working group or started a specific gender initiative because they were passionate about it, who demonstrated the properties of leadership that this award could go to. Okay, and then all of the rest of the awards go to organizations, specifically, not individuals. So gender inclusive workplace is the third category, and this is very broad. So these different bullet points are meant to be, these could be any of the things that you might apply for, not everything. So you could just have a very strong equal recruitment, retention, and promotion policy, and that could be the one initiative that you apply for. You don't need to be covering all these things. And this is also quite a broad category as well, because workplace covers 3 WEP principles, WEP 2, 3, and 4. So it encompasses everything from trying to hire, to recruit and promote with non-discrimination and equally, to flexible working arrangements within the workplace, supporting men and women with childcare or home care responsibilities, supporting employer care at work, also guaranteeing the safety and well-being of workers, or taking extra measures to make sure that women have the same kind of protective equipment even that men do, or that they're designed for women and men, and also education and training for women, promoting women's career development, or maybe taking steps. We've seen some great initiatives from companies in the past as well, taking steps to get women into non-traditional roles, or having women as the first factory leaders in a certain community. So this can encompass a broad range of categories. Just seeing some questions that are coming in. Yes, and I will get to that, but I'll already go ahead and answer. Companies can apply for 2 categories. And yes, from the same organization could apply for their work in gender inclusive workplace, and then they could also apply for their leader as doing good work generally throughout the organization. And time period, I'll go ahead and answer this one as well, because it comes up a lot. So there is no specific time period for when the initiative had to have been implemented. I think the key thing is that we really want to see initiatives that are still either active or that are actively benefiting the target group. So they're still being implemented within the organization. It could be something that was started 5-7 years ago, but if it's still ongoing and active, or still being adapted or enhanced, then that's totally fine. But we unfortunately, I think if it finished more than about a year ago, it's probably something that we're kind of questioning. Okay, why hasn't it been scaled or adapted or taken on somehow? So we do want to see initiatives that have demonstrated a certain level of results so far. So not entirely new, but also not something that finished 4 years ago and the organization has never kind of taken it a step forward. Okay. Yeah, so for gender inclusive workplace, I'll go ahead and answer this one before we move on as well. You can do either. You can apply for just one specific initiative. Maybe you just have a very strong equal recruitment policy, but you can also apply and detail all of the things you've done across your workplace that you need. Okay, I just see that one person seeking clarification, so I'll go ahead and answer. Organization. If the two categories, I see, sorry. I see what they're saying. So a company wants to apply for two categories as the company and then one for the individual. We normally don't allow this, but we can consider it. I think if you want to apply for two categories as the organization and then also one for the individual. I think for this case, it might be best get in touch with me and I can maybe consult with you a little bit more and look at your case and we can see what we can do. So I'm just going to put the email in the chat that anyone can email to ask questions because we're more than happy to walk you through it and clarify anything that you might need. Okay, so moving on to the next category is gender responsive marketplace. So in general, we see when a lot of companies join the WEPs, they start addressing either leadership and corporate commitments or workplace policies first. And it's a little bit trickier for them to know how and what to do to address marketplace and gender inclusive marketplace. So for this WEP and this category as well, it kind of covers two different pillars. So one is looking at the marketplace in terms of your suppliers and the vendors that you use. And so this could be anything from looking at supplier diversity, looking at who you're supplying from, also looking at what kind of gender commitments your suppliers have. So this could be rolling out an enhanced code of conduct to ensure that your suppliers are gender inclusive. This could also be looking at how many of your suppliers are women owned or men owned, or even starting to track. I know a lot of companies don't even collect that data to be able to measure it in the first place. So looking at your procurement spend and where it's going. This could also be supporting women entrepreneurs that are further down in your value chain as well. And then the other pillar of this is actual marketing and advertising. So looking at your marketing practices and looking at either how you're working to ensure that your marketing and advertising is not portraying harmful gender stereotypes, or actively working to kind of break down some gender stereotypes through your marketing. So we've seen some really great campaigns previously on kind of taboo topics, awarded companies that really took courage to tackle a taboo topic through their product and get the public engaged in conversation to normalize it. And to try and break down some of the stereotypes. So this can again be kind of a wide range, but it's those two kind of broad pillars. Okay, community engagement and partnership. So this is the fifth category. So this kind of goes into WEP Principle 6, which is working within the community. And we've also included partnerships as a really important aspect of this. So this category can, in terms of partnerships, this can be companies that really took steps to roll out their initiatives through partnerships and through leveraging their position within a specific industry, or working with a wide array of multi-stakeholder partners like local governments, local women's organizations, or CSOs, or men's organizations, or other peer companies in the private sector, or even UN agencies as well, to kind of roll out an initiative and ensure that they're bringing about more change. This could also be participating in a multi-stakeholder platform or advocating within the industry, like the Unstereotype Alliance, which brings together large marketing firms to work to break down gender stereotypes in advertising and marketing. Or otherwise advocating at industry-wide events to kind of create change within the industry if it's a particularly male-dominated industry. We've also seen some great examples on that in the past. This could also be part of your CSR programs or other programs in the community where you donate money or you support different programmings in local communities where you work, or as part of CSR initiatives. We've seen some really great, I think, initiatives with people working with local communities, or if they're an agricultural company where they work within the farming communities to support entrepreneurship and support safe and healthy families, or also what was the one I was thinking of? I had a good example. Also companies too, if they might be a technology company working to support to get more women and girls into STEM education, for example. That would be another great example of community engagements. I'm just looking back at the questions to make sure I catch them. Okay, and I'll get to those questions, I think, once I get to how you apply a bit later on, but noted on the questions. Okay, and then the last category, transparency and reporting. So we launched this for the first time last year. So this is WEP Principle 7, which is on measuring your progress, tracking your progress, and publicly reporting progress on your gender equality commitments. We know that it's still a field that a lot of companies are taking small steps on, and taking more steps to integrate into their action plans and their practices. But you know, it kind of undergirds the whole WEPs, and we do know it's an area that's gaining more and more prominence. And so for this category, this again can kind of cover a wide range. So this could be companies that are taking extra steps to add gender indicators in their ESG or sustainability reporting, companies who are otherwise using public platforms to report their progress on gender equality commitments. This could also be companies that are maybe not publicly reporting yet, but taking steps to start to measure and track, to really integrate more KPIs on gender indicators into their work. And go beyond. So we do see a lot of companies now starting to report on women in leadership or women in senior management, but less so on pay gap in some cases, or training hours provided to women, or percentage of promotions that are women. So this is really, really looking to companies that are taking those extra steps. And also, this is one note that the WEPs Awards are also open to stock exchanges, industry associations, and chambers of commerce. So some of these organizations that are also kind of regulatory and a bit oversight or coordination bodies can support to push other private sector companies to report. So they're also eligible to apply for these awards. Okay, let's move on to who should apply. Okay, and I'll make sure I address this question in a minute. Okay. So the WEPs Awards is really for everyone in business. This can be for single entrepreneurs, SMEs, multinationals, social enterprises as well, industry associations, chambers of commerce, and stock exchanges. These are all of the organizations that are eligible to sign the WEPs. So the WEPs was designed as a private sector vehicle to deliver on gender equality commitments. So unfortunately, it's not open to NGOs, nonprofits, foundations, or government entities. It's just a private sector award, unfortunately, but we do cover a wide range of private sector organizations. So all companies with residency or registered to operate in the Asia-Pacific are eligible to apply. Local offices of multinational, of course, and also multiple offices of multinationals. If you're a Unilever or Danone or Intel, you can apply in several different countries simultaneously. For the leadership awards, all nationalities are welcome. If you're the leader of an organization in Thailand, but you are a citizen of India or of Germany, what have you, you can still win the leadership award for your work in that organization in Thailand. Also, you do not need to be a WEP signatory to apply. If this is the first time you've heard of the WEPs, or you've heard of the WEPs, but your CEO isn't ready to commit, or you're still not sure it's right for you, or you feel like you haven't done enough, that's completely fine. Go ahead and apply. Everyone is welcome to apply. If you're shortlisted, once we get to the shortlisting process, we send out an email to all the shortlisted candidates. And at that point, in order to advance to the awarding stage, you do need to become a signatory. But we give you the option, right? We're not going to force anybody. So in order to get to the awarding stage, you do need to become a signatory. But by all means today, it's the first time you've heard of it, please go ahead and do apply. Someone asked, is state banks such as Agricultural Promotion Bank or SME Bank eligible? Yes, they are. I know in our region we do have a lot of state-owned entities and state-owned companies. They would still be eligible to apply, yes. So that's good news for that. Okay. I think that's on why apply. I won't spend too much time on it. I hope everyone can see the merits. You really demonstrate your leadership on gender equality and can yield benefits for your business, build credibility, and fast track your agenda. Your application is never made public. So if, of course, if you apply and you're not shortlisted, no one will know. But if you do apply, and make it either shortlisted or awarded and want to share that, you really help us share more best practices and get private sector action for gender equality more visible and keep building the movement. Also, for awardees and winners, you do get worldwide recognition through visibility on the global WEPs.org website. So the main WEPs website is global, with all the 7,000 members, and there's visibility on there, and of course on UN Women's websites and social media channels. We make regional awardee testimonial videos for the main regional awardees, and also champions profiles. For the 7 regional award winners, we will make champion profiles that are disseminated and put out for public view. Okay, so the application process. So it's all done through our website, and I'm actually just going to take you to the website and show you how it works. Each company can apply for up to 2 categories. And everyone applies through this portal. You don't choose national or regional. Basically what happens is you just choose the country in which your office is based. And if you're in one of those 7 implementing countries, we send it straight to our teams there. And if you're not in one of those countries, it comes to us at the regional level and we review it. So there's really no difference when you submit the application. Just if you're in one of those 7 countries, you'll have the chance to be awarded at national level first. And then what happens is the top winners at the national level advance to the regional pool. And then all the other top scoring companies from the regional countries are also in that pool. And then it goes around to our pool of judges who make the final decisions actually. Yes, and so you can't actually apply for both country level and Asia. What you could do if you're a multinational is you could have a local office apply. For example, if your office in Thailand did something really good, you could have them apply as Thailand. And then if you're the regional office, you could, and you're based in Singapore, for example, you could apply as the regional office and just put it in the title, and you'd automatically go into the regional pool. If you're a regional office that also happens to be based in Thailand, you could just put regional office in the title, and then we'll handle the application from internally to know that you're applying for a regional initiative that covers multiple countries and not just that one country. Okay. Make sure I answer them. Regional category. Okay, I think. Okay, yes, let me go to the application and then I can answer one of the questions that I saw come up. Before we go to the website, I'll just say, so all of them are submitted online. The standard application is English. For some of our selected implementation countries, we do have local language available, but it is still a bit limited, and the main one is English. Applications have 3 different parts. So the first part just asks you general information about the company, location, things like this, the size. Part 2 are general questions that do ask for sort of specific internal policies and practices. And these are aligned to the different WEPs principles. So it asks you questions kind of aligned to the 7 different principles. And part 3 is where you actually talk about the initiative, and they're open-ended questions where you write about what you've done. And in part 2 and 3, you are asked to upload supporting documents. So the reason we do this is just to ensure that the process is still somewhat rigorous. This is a recognition by UN Women. So we do need to make sure we kind of do a light touch verification of the documents and the answers given. Also just to, mainly to verify the answers that you've given. And I'll walk you through the questions and show you more about them, and then also let you know a little bit more about how the scoring works. Okay, so let me go for a minute. Is everyone seeing the awards website now? Can someone type in the chat? Okay, perfect. Okay, so this is our lovely WEPs Awards website. And you also have all the information about the awards, about the WEPs. You can also view past judges, past awardees. We also do have FAQs, and then you actually apply here. So go to apply, and it gives you all the little options. You can also, here as a note, we have an application guide that you can download that just has some useful tips and tricks for filling out the application. And then also you can download the application if you want to start it offline, which some companies do find helpful. So I'm just going to click on the English flag to get started. So it shows you first a quick review of the different categories. I'm going to discard and start over so I can show you what it looks like to save it. So it gives me just an overview again of the categories. So part 1, these general questions, country, company name. So let's say I have an office in Malaysia. But I'm applying for a regional initiative that was implemented in Malaysia, Indonesia, and Pakistan, for example. For company name, I'm going to put XYZ regional office. So then our team knows that you're applying as the regional office. And then at the bottom of this part 1, you click which categories you want to apply for. So let's say I want to do leadership and workplace. Okay, and I'm going to go next. Okay, so this is what part 2 looks like. So part 2 can be a little bit intimidating. We do know that. It's aligned to the WEPs Gender Gap Analysis Tool, which is a comprehensive kind of self-assessment for the company to look at where the gaps are, where the strengths are, and how they're implementing all of the WEPs. So it is meant to cover kind of the broad spectrum, but so we ask this to ensure that we're not awarding companies for good part 3 initiatives that have absolutely no good internal practices. So this is kind of just a check to make sure that we're still working with companies that have internal commitments, but we do know that we have a lot of organizations applying that are smaller, that are SMEs, that are newer organizations. And so this is only 25% of the total score. So if you go through this, especially if you're an SME and you find yourself answering, the percentage is below, or we've started, but we don't have a commitment, or no, we don't have formalized criteria. No. It's okay. It's only 25% of the total score. The majority of the score goes to the part 3. You can download one of the Excel files to work on offline, but you do need to do this directly on the site in the end for us to actually get the application. Yes, if it's an issue with the website, you can email us and we can support you to do it. But it does all need to come through this specific portal through JotForm that we use to actually come to us. So these are questions, like I've said, that go through the WEPs. So there are things on women in leadership. Do you have a gender action plan in place? Criteria for selection, hiring, retention, promotion. Also goes into workplaces like maternity leave, paternity leave. And then you click these answer options. It might ask you to specify the number of days. Yes, sometimes you might click C. Yes, we have a formal approach to work-life balance. What do you do? Okay, we offer telecommuting. We offer parental leave or caregiver benefits. Specify the number of days per year. They get 15, let's say, or 10 maybe. And then for each question, we do require that you upload a file. So often this might be an internal policy that we're asking for. And I know that this can be somewhat sensitive for larger companies specifically. So what we offer is that, because we do need it to verify the answers, but you can either redact information or black out information, or just upload a screenshot or an excerpt of the policy. Also, all of the data that's provided in part 2 is only used for our verification and shortlisting. It's not shared with any of the internal judges. It's only shared with the internal shortlisting team. Yes, and so the data is all kept secure and safe. And we can, if you want to email us, we can work together on how you can still provide verification if you're not allowed to share an internal policy. We can work on that. If you're a smaller organization, you're an SME, and you don't have actual policies to upload, that's totally fine. What you can do is just write in a Word document and just explain it to us, right? And say, we want to start doing XYZ, we have a plan, but we don't have anything official yet. And then you can just upload that Word document. It's totally fine if you don't have all the policies and procedures in place. And so this is one part 2 where, especially if we see SMEs that score very, very low, that we'll probably put them over into that special SME pool, so that they're not totally disadvantaged by kind of the larger corporates. Okay, and then we'll go on to part 3. So this is 75% of the total score. So the majority of where we put the weight goes on this part. It goes on what you've actually done with your initiative. And you'll see it already has in the 2 categories I selected: leadership commitment and gender inclusive workplace. And so for the part 3 application, it's always the same parts that we ask. We ask for a quick summary of the initiative first. And for leadership, we do ask for the nominee name and the date of birth, just so we can verify that they fit the age criteria. We always have background and context, and we have a few different guiding questions to let you know what we're looking for in that answer. Key actions taken and lessons learned, results, and sustainability. So for the background and context, one of the key tips I have for the application is use the word limit. You have 400 words for this. Don't fill in just 100. These are the applications that leave us kind of asking questions. And then if we see one that's explained it fully, that one is going to score a bit higher. So use the full word limit and really try and answer to these guiding questions, right? Provide some background about the issue. Why did this initiative start? What was the reasoning behind it? So if this is for leadership commitment, why did the leader start the program, and what did they do specifically? What was the purpose behind starting the program? What action did they take or lead, or other initiatives they may have been involved in their career, if relevant? And then key actions taken and lessons learned. What did you actually do, right? And so this one has more word limits because it's what did you actually do? How did it work? Explain in some detail as much as you can. Did you engage in any other partnerships to do it? What was the rollout plan? But also another key thing is we want to hear what any of the challenges were, or any of the surprising things that you learned throughout the process. Or these could even be things too before you rolled out. These could even be challenges you faced maybe internally to starting the initiative, or also getting buy-in. This always helps us, especially, and can help others to learn how to overcome some of these barriers. So this is also a key, or always a key component of this second part. And then the final part, results and sustainability. We're looking to see what are some of the key results to date. And so this is where we're not We're unfortunately not in this instance looking for new initiatives, even if they're brilliant, even if they're great. If you're going to roll out a fantastic new, comprehensive workplace policy, we do want to already see some results. So it might be better for an application next year. So what are the key results? And if you have data on numbers, please do share it. How are you determining its success? How are you measuring and tracking it? What indicators are you using? What kind of data are you collecting? And also if this was the leadership or for organizations specifically. And yes, this is the same for any category: background and context, key actions taken, results, and sustainability. And then that last question is always focused on how do you plan to carry forward or scale the initiative, or what's the sustainability plan for the initiative, basically. To take this forward or ensure that the results are carried forward and it's kept sustainable. And so then the very last thing you do before submitting the application is just an acknowledgement that all the data submitted will be kept confidential and secure, and it's only used for shortlisting. And that you can contact us at any time. One thing I will say while we're on this website is you always have the option to save and come back. So this can also be good if you're it's going to take you a while to fill out all of the things and you want to get started, but you need to consult with someone and come back at a later time. So let's just say we're on this part 2. What you can do is hit the save button, and then let me log out just a second so I can show you what it looks like. I think I was already logged in my account. Okay, so normally if you save it on Jotform, you'll see this little pop-up from Jotform. Go ahead and click skip create an account. You don't have to create a Jotform account. And then all I'm going to do is enter my email and then hit send. And then it's going to send me an email of the draft that will give me a link to access it. And then I can come back and finish it at any time. So it does need to be uploaded on the site. But yes, you can always save it and come back. Okay, let me go to one other note on how the scoring works. You're seeing my PowerPoint again, correct? Yes, PowerPoint, I hope. Okay, great. Okay, so just a reminder of how the scoring process works. So part 1 isn't scored at all. Part 2 is weighted at 25%, and then we get an automatic score when you submit, but we verify it with that supporting documentation. And we will get in touch with you if we don't see that the documentation matches the answers that you gave. We might get in touch with you and ask if you can send a few more details to us. Part 3 is where the majority of the weighting is. That's 75%. And we have a scorecard that we use for each part, where we actually do give it numeric scores. And then these as well, the answers are verified with supporting documentation. This was one note I think I didn't give, but for part 3, we accept all different kinds of supporting documents. This can be anything from a very formal, long sustainability report to a news article, to a Facebook posting, to an Instagram posting. This can even be Facebook comments that we're maybe reacting to a specific video or marketing campaign. This can also be links to videos to upload. This can really be a whole wide range of evidence that you provide to verify your part 3 answer. You can upload multiple documents, and you can also send us links to things that are publicly available. So UN Women conducts a shortlisting first, where we verify part 2. We also do a first score of part 3, and then we onboard external panels of judges who are all experts in gender equality and business specifically. We have a briefing session with them to make sure we're all kind of scoring consistently, and then the judges get the part 3 from the initiative. They don't get any of the internal information from part 2. They just get the part 3 to review and score, and then we get their scores back. We combine it with the part 2 scores, and then we use kind of the algorithm and the actual numerics to determine the winner, so that we make sure it's still kind of as objective as possible. So that's how the kind of final awarding works. Okay, we're at 3:43. Let me see if there's any of these frequently asked questions I didn't get to. Yes, so someone asked if the company requires an NDA. So UN Women cannot sign an NDA, unfortunately, for you to submit information. What we can do is to try and work with you if you can share a policy that has information redacted, or if it's just a screenshot of part of the policy. We can try and work with you, but we're not able to sign an NDA, unfortunately. But you can always get in touch with us and we can see what we can do together. Okay, let's see. So yes, we went through the application and judging. Yes, and certainly if you haven't implemented in all of the WEPs, if it's your first time learning about the WEPs and you only have a workplace initiative or a community initiative, yes, please do. Yes, so regional office, yes. Yeah, if it's implemented in several country branches. And so you could apply as your, as your Thailand office and as the regional office based in Singapore for something that was implemented in multiple different countries. No fee to join the WEPs or the WEPs Awards at all. This is a good question that is frequently asked. Can I apply this year if I applied or won last year? So if you've applied either of the 2 previous cycles, yes, you can certainly apply again this year. If you've been previously awarded, you can still apply, but we ask that it's for a different initiative, or if your awarded initiative has been significantly enhanced or adapted, just so that we make sure we're giving a fair shot to newer companies each year. Okay, I think that was actually all the slides I had. So if anyone else would like to ask questions, you can either type in the chat. I'll keep a lookout. I'll wait just a second or two, and then I can always show a few other things I like to show on the website. Okay, I don't see any other questions coming in. Okay, maybe what I will go ahead and do, share some inspiration. Okay. So I won't keep you too long, but while we still have everyone on the line. If you do go to this WEPs Awards website, please do read through if you want to see who any of the past judges were, or especially the past awardees. You can see little clips of what their winning initiatives were from the different countries. So you can just click over and see what they've done. Screen not sharing all the way. Also, another thing that I think is always really great to see is, I don't have it up yet, just a second, is, and I'll put the link to this in the chat. We have a playlist for We Empower Asia for our program on YouTube. I'm going to put this link into the chat. So if you go to this playlist, I mean, we do have a bunch of videos throughout our program implementation that are fantastic. But you'll also see these videos, Asia-Pacific WEPs Awards, national winners or regional winners in the different categories. So you can see testimonial videos of past winners and can hear more about their work and what they did. We also have on weps.org, I'll log out of this other account I'm in, on weps.org, the global WEPs website. They're helping us advertise our awards. So if you go to resources on this website and tools, and then category, WEPs Awards profiles, search. Let me copy that link also into the chat. A bit long, sorry. So we have 2021, we actually don't have up yet. We're still finalizing them, but for 2020, we have 18 profiles of our regional awardees where you can actually read in detail about the work that they've done and why they were awarded. So these are all available on WEPs.org. And just also, I'll add in this shorter link. If you are a WEP signatory or considering joining the WEPs, this resources tab is filled with fantastic resources to help you implement the WEPs. There's case studies, there's guidance documents, there's briefing notes, lots of different things to support implementation. And if you are not a signatory and you are ready, you can just go to this link, weps.org/join. And here is where you access the CEO statement of support. So this needs to be signed by either the CEO of your company or the person with the highest decision-making authority. So to be awarded for the WEPs Awards, we do ask that you sign at that specific office. So if you're a multinational and your CEO signed at the headquarters in the US, for example, but you're applying to win an award in Thailand, we do ask that you sign at the Thailand level. So the CEO statement would be whoever has the highest authority at the Thailand office, maybe a managing director or something. And then once you have the CEO statement signed, you just fill in this brief application, upload it, and then we do a quick verification and we get back to you in 5 to 10 working days with approval and hopefully publishing of the application, and that's how you become a signatory. And so currently, and you can always go check out who the signatories are, 6672. So we're close, we're getting to 7,000 almost. So you can look at the full list of signatories and you can filter by joining country or region to see any signatories in your country. Yes, if you're applying for multiple countries in Asia, you would need to join the WEPs at the country level. If you're applying for that office, if it's a regional office, you would just need to apply for that office. But if you're a multinational applying for work in Thailand, India, and Bangladesh, separate applications, you would need to become a signatory at all of those offices. And the reason we ask for this is just to signal the local commitment, just to really make sure that the WEPs commitment is made at the local office of the local CEO who's really going to support driving that forward and bring it from the top down throughout the organization. Okay. I'll type in the chat again this email. If you have any questions at all with the application or about the awards, we're always available. Yeah, if you're applying for the regional office, like if it's based in Singapore, then whoever's the highest decision-making authority at that office could apply. Yes, or I mean, sorry, you could just have a signatory for Asia. Yes. Okay, so please do feel free to email if you have any questions at all. If there's no more questions, I do see one more. Yes, so the recording will be made available and uploaded on our YouTube channel. Don't worry at all. And you can always get back in touch with us if you have any questions. Okay, so I think that's it for today. We will be sending you the slides and the recording after this, and we hope to receive your application soon. Don't hesitate to reach out if you have any more questions at all, or if you feel like you need a little bit more time, because I know the deadline is just still 2 weeks away, and sometimes it does take longer than you think, but we can be flexible. So, okay, thank you so much, everyone, and we'll see you soon. Bye.